Welcome, everybody, back to the FieldPulse podcast, the best place for you to upgrade your trade. I am so glad, finally, you're here, Mr.
Yes.
Jeff with the 360 Electrician. Truth be told, to all the audience members out there, I tried to launch the podcast with you, and you were busy, we were busy, this, that, life, everything happened, everything got in the way, but here we are. Finally. Glad to have you, man.
I think it's been like 3 months, and it's funny because I don't even know if I launched our podcast, the 360 Electrician podcast.
No, you were getting it ready.
It was like, so you guys had just launched it, and we were trying to get that ready, and it's been a wild ride. I'm super stoked I'm here. I've been wanting to get on the podcast, obviously. I am a big fan of FieldPulse. FieldPulse does sponsor our YouTube channel. We are Field Ambassador. I want to let everybody know why. You know, once you give me the green light, I'll let them know what I do and why it's so important for them to really know what field software is all about. So,
yeah, let's get into it. Well, first, let's get into that in a minute. First, I want everyone to get to know you a little bit. We had a discussion before, and you told me, I would say your life story, but a synopsis of your story, and it's very interesting. Where you came from. You didn't grow up in an electrician family. You didn't, you're not doing what your dad did. So just tell everyone kind of where you came from and where you started. And then that in itself is interesting. And then how you made the transition into electrical work.
Daniel, you better be careful, man. I run a YouTube channel. We like to talk. Get me started. I might not stop, but my abbreviated version will probably go 15 minutes, but I promise you, I'm just going to give you the highlights. But you're absolutely right. I always joke around and say, my first business I started when I was 8 years old, and it really set the tone on all the skills I needed for the rest of my life to be in sales and just to be in business. And I want to give you guys, the 2-minute version of that. I had a best friend that grew up in the neighborhood, and he had an older brother, and we were 8 years old, and we wanted toys, couldn't have toys. We had to buy it. We had to hustle. So he said, hey, you know what? If you go to the golf course and you hop the fence, and you collect golf balls that are in the grass and in the areas, you get them, you clean them up, and then you can resell them for like 25 cents each. Well, 25 cents in 1978 is probably like $5, right, for us. So we're like, heck yeah, let's do this. And so the funny part was I never knew this was going to be a life lesson. And we would go and we'd get these golf balls. And the first day, let's just say we found 20 golf balls. We'd sell 10 or 15 of them. We'd make a couple bucks, ride our bikes down to the hobby shop and get our toys. Well, we said same time next week, and we said, yeah. And, during the week, I thought to myself, wow, you know what? We sold a lot of golf balls. I said, this week, why don't we write down the names of these golf balls on the cardboard box so we can get an idea of what people are wanting? And so sure enough, we wrote Top Flight XL and, Sales 101, product, supply, demand. We wrote down the, Top Flight XL, this, and the day went, and it was all 25 cents. And sure enough, our Top Flight XLs were our number one seller. And then when those sold out, they bought the Top Flight. I'm saying Top Flight because it's the only golf ball I know. I don't golf, sorry. And so at the end of that day, we realized, wow, we know which golf balls people are really wanting. So next week, guess what? Those ended up being 35 cents. And so it's funny how just that experience at 8 years old and just trying to hustle and make money so you can buy more toys, which is really what we're doing as electricians and tradesmen, right? We want to get the boat and the RV. Most contractors, I don't know any contractor doesn't have at least a boat or an IV. So it's the toys. And so that led then into negotiating price, because then we'd get almost to like 50 cents a ball, and people would say, well, no, that's too high. And then we went, well, let's go see how much a Top Flight XL ball is. It's $1.50 new. So then our sales pitch was, well, you could go pay $1.50 for a new one, and then we'll find it, clean it, and resell it to you anyway. You might as well buy it for 50 cents and save yourself $1. And guess what? There you go. So that just led into, my life of being a salesman. And people always knock me sometimes on the channel. This guy's a salesman. I said, of course, I want to sell you stuff that's going to help you sell. I'm not lying. I'm not cheating. I'm using common sense in my sales tactics and stuff. Anyway, we could fast forward. My family is in the tire business. We are, my dad's the godfather of tires in the Southern California area. Direct family at the height, over 250 tire stores. Wow. In-house, privately owned. Now everyone's sold off and all that good stuff. So I got into the tire business, and I opened up the second largest tire seller on the internet, who happens to be a sponsor of our channel now, onlinetires.com. Okay. And And then I sold that company. And then when I was going to get married, me being Armenian, if you guys know who Armenians are, our culture, my father-in-law was like, I just sold my online tire company. I was living the dream. I did a couple of years of Bible college and I was just camping and fishing. And my father-in-law said, you don't have a job. You can't marry my daughter, being Armenian too. And I said, oh man, a job. So fast forward, maybe a decade earlier, I've skipped a part. So my family was in the tire business, and my mom, a smart woman, said, look, if the tire business ever doesn't work out, what's your fallback? I'm not going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And she said, why don't you get into the trade? So I did. I graduated actually a 2-year degree in electrical construction and maintenance. So now fast forwarding back, I needed a job. And now I'm about 30 years old getting back into the trade because I went to go find the largest service company in Los Angeles. They're still around. They're still the biggest. I said, let me go work for them. I'll learn the trade. I'll learn, everything they're doing. And then I'll just do another business like I always do. And that's what I ended up doing. And so back in 2005, I believe now, it's been 17 years, I got my license, C10 in California, and I never looked back. Wow. And that's how I got into the trade. And then that led, of course, into moving here to Montana. So my business is still in California. I live in Montana. I run my business from Montana. Technology. You can see all of the tricks and the tips all on the YouTube channel. And then we just decided last month that we're going to open up here. So to surprise to some people, I am an unlimited master electrician in Montana, and we're actually opening the doors in May here. So now 2 contractor companies and the YouTube channel. It's been a fun ride, to say the least. So that's where I'm at right now in life.
Wow! All right, man. I
told you it was.
I got to say,
handful.
real quick, just checking the clock. That's record time. Good job on your on your abbreviated life story.
I skipped my 20s. Yeah. I moved to Vegas in my 20s and had the largest, most pager stores. That's how old I am in Vegas in my 20s. So that was another business that I did completely different. And of course, I brought all those marketing, sales, software stuff. I was in the cutting edge with online tires when the internet just started booming. And so I brought all that into the electrical trade, and that's really what I teach electricians, electrical contractors. My whole channel is for electrical contractors that want to level up and for those electricians that want to become electrical contractors. And when you wrap all that around, guess what's right in the middle? Your shirt right there says FieldPulse. It's field software, and that's really the glue that holds it all together. And I'm not just throwing a plug out there, but I definitely want to talk to people about that because I find that I would say 70% of my coaching clients, electrical contractor clients, are still not using field software, and it's mind-boggling to me. And I don't know if you guys have any surveys or something that kind of backs that up.
We do. Kind of. So we're a small company, and we say it a lot around here. If you're here, you're meant to be here. We don't have anyone extra to do market research and take surveys and that kind of thing. And so we are a very lean is a new term that we are a very lean operating company. And so could we use another 6 people? Yeah, that would take a little bit. We wouldn't all have to work nights
on the software. Don't do it. I'm just kidding.
But before we talk about that, you said something that I really want to touch on, and I think is very important. Is that people criticize you for being a salesman, and I like to think, and this is be a little bit of role playing for me, and this discussion here. I am going to role play the typical trades guy because I have the opinion that I don't like salespeople. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there that don't like salespeople, right?
Right. Absolutely.
They don't like the salesiness or the hard sell, or and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people. The majority, I would venture to say that used car salesman. That's just what everyone thinks of, just used car salesman. There's other kind of salesmen, and the business podcast, the coaching podcast that I've listened to, and the other advice I've taken from people throughout my life. Without sales, you don't have a business. Right. So you need to be a salesman in order to have a business. And so what you said about people criticizing you about being salesy, you know, I think what they might be saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're the one receiving the criticism, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is that are people confusing your personality type of just being out? You're just, I don't want to say flamboyant for like, but you're
not your typical electrical contractor. Yeah. Not your typical tradesman.
No, you're not.
You know what? You're absolutely right. Here's the difference, okay? So the people that are blaming me to be you're just a salesman are not the successful contractors, and they're not going to be successful because in their mind, I don't equivalent a salesman to a used car salesman, but you're absolutely right. A used car salesman, we think, is a slimy guy that just is trying to cheat you out of something. Mm-hmm. When I say you got to be a salesman, and this is what I said on several things, you know, all of us are great at the trade, but we suck at business.
Yep.
You got to be better at business, and business is exactly what you said, is sales. And so think about it this way. I'm not a salesman, I'm a valueman. When I sell, I don't sell anything. My policy, everybody knows, is you don't lie, you don't cheat. You find stuff to sell. Why shouldn't you be worth what you're worth? So I have a video. It's the nuclear power plant. You put a black X on the valve that's gone bad. Mm-hmm. You know, value, and everybody loves that video. And that's what I'm trying to get at. When I say sales, and I'm teaching you sales, what I'm really teaching you is how to convey the correct value. Because let's put it this way: unless your panel just blew up, you're just going to give me money and say fix it. But if you want to remodel your house, okay, and you want to put some recessed lights in. Anybody can do recessed lights. I got people that do recessed lights for half the cost that my company does. But the difference is when I sell, quote unquote, or when I offer it, right, mm-hmm. I put so much value into that the next thing that the client says is, well, this guy was cheaper, but Jeff gave me a better value. And what does that mean? And that's the type of words that we use. You know, I don't say buy, I don't say price. These are all, you know, this is all on the internet. I didn't create this. Mm-hmm. But we say investment, your total investment. You know, if you okay paperwork, and we hug them, we squeeze them. If I tell my guys all the time, when you sell a job, so let's just say we're doing those recessed lights or a kitchen remodel. You know, I always tell them, explain what you're going to do as a pitch, as a value-driven pitch. Don't just say, that's great, we can go ahead and do that job. It's going to cost you $6,980. Why not say, hey, Daniel, I really appreciate you thinking about us as a thing. I just want to spend 2 minutes and let you know and explain how I believe we're going to do this project and how I've set it up. You know, you're going to rip these cabinets down, blah, blah, blah. And I want to run my wiring down to your new outlets behind the cabinets. So therefore, you have less painting and patching. Therefore, you have less cost and well, I'm going to do it anyway, but I explain it in a way that gives that value. Yeah, you know, again, you could say, well, Jeff, again, that's sales. It is sales, but I have to make sure that client says, Jeff is the one that I want to pay this $6,900 to, and not the guy that's $6,200, right? When they say Jeff explained it, he's going to try to save me money on that. I tell him, hey, you know, I want to throw in a couple of USB charging outlets on there for you. That way the wife is going to be super happy with you, Daniel, because now there's not all these wires and cords hanging out plugged into your kitchen counter, right? You got these USB plugs. Those are the things that I talk about when I say sales. I want to teach people how to truly sell with the value attachment, because if you don't give value, right? You're trading electrical work for money, but you're really trading value. The more value I give you, the more money is going to come out of your pocket into my company. And that's what I'm talking about when I truly talk about sales. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've lived this revelation, if you will, where my last handyman business that I had, I started unknowingly. I started at the lower end of pricing per hour. And I figured out very quickly, and I remember where I was. I remember the day. I don't know the date, but I remember the day where I was on a job and I was working, and it just something clicked in my head. I was down on my hands and knees. I was fixing some broken tile, and I just thought, I probably have like a 99% acceptance rate. That's way too high. I have way too many people telling me yes. Yeah. I need somebody to tell me no. Why is everyone saying, wow, that's such someone told me there's another thing I'll never forget. Wow, that's a great value. And I thought, oh no.
You're too cheap.
Oh no. And so
right?
I kept incrementally raising my prices.
Yeah.
And
until you even
And that's another discussion for another time. But what you said about selling value, when you are selling a job and you think someone is just about the money and they're just about what they're getting. No. They're not just about the money. They're about what they're getting for the money.
Sure.
And so when you explain, and I'm a huge advocate for this, and I build this into a lot of features that I personally build inside of FieldPulse. I've built price books. I have built different job templates that we use. I go through there and I list out step by step, generically, so you can modify it, use the contractor, you can modify it and use what you need. But I line these things out generically just because I want to plant the seed with you, the contractor.
Yeah.
This is what you need to tell your clients. This is why it costs this much money. Right. And these are the steps that we have to do. And this is, for instance, how long it's going to take. Somebody might think because their neighbor told them, their ex-wife told them, whatever, whoever told them, oh yeah, I had the same thing happen. They were in and out in 30 minutes. It's no big deal. Just call them. Well, you don't know that it's the exact same thing that your friend or your neighbor had done. When you can explain to your client, you can justify $1,300 by, this is going to be 4 hours of my time plus materials and everything that goes into it. Oh, okay. And then people start to understand, the value proposition. They start to understand what all goes into it. I have a lot of these discussions with, I've been reaching out to a lot of HVAC contractors lately, and they're complaining about not getting the value that they want for system replacements. Right. And I said, well, do they know how long it's going to take? Yeah, I tell them I'm going to be here most of the day. Okay, do you tell them exactly what I just said, step by step? We're going to discharge the Freon. We're going to depower the unit. We're going to take the insulation off. We have to scrap the old unit. By the way, we have to take it to a recycling center even after the job is done because, of regulations and all this, and just go step by step and almost don't do it, but excruciating detail to the things you have to do, all the little parts and pieces that they're going to get, which usually, if even you, the electrician, you're used to just counting up wire by the box, because you buy it by the box, you buy it by the pallet. Tell someone how much wire you're going to use. Tell someone how many switches you're going to use. Tell someone, the different nuances of what makes their project unique and what you're going to have to do it the right way. Yeah.
You got to give just that much more. I always say, if you give that much more value than the next guy, and what's value? Value doesn't always mean price. Nope. Value means that you walked in and you don't smell and you actually showered. And I joke and I say you don't have Satan written on top of your forehead, so that I even let you in. But absolutely, you hit so many things, on the thing. And by the way, here's a little free coaching session. There's really two reasons, and you hit it on the head. When I coach, I say, out of the last 10 clients you saw, how many said yes? And they say, if they say 4 or 5, that's one thing. But if they say 9 or 10, and I tell them, though, there's two reasons for that. It might be that your price is too low. It might be. And we get into coaching of pricing stuff. But the second thing is I call it the unicorn stage, and that's where we are. Not enough tradesmen, too much work. You're getting the yes if you have a heartbeat. So you got to be careful as a tradesman, as an electrician, because when that dries up and you still think you're Superman and you've bought your new trucks and you've got all this going, and the economy goes up and it goes down. I tell everybody you got to be the McDonald's of tradesmen, and they go, what the heck does that mean? Well, think about it. If I roll up in a Bentley and order a Big Mac, it's $4. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know how much it is. $4.99. If I roll up and I walk in, and my shirt's tattered and I haven't showered in 3 weeks, Big Mac is $4.99, right? So there's that steadiness. The steadiness is important for growth. I'm not saying that you shouldn't charge more when you know it's going to be a pain in the rear job, customers a pain in, you get some idea, there's indicators, but this is common sense. Yes. In general, you have to get everything tuned in so that you go in, you go out, you close the sale as fast as you can, you know your pricing as fast as you can, and you move on to the next one. And then vice versa with McDonald's. It's not that the price is the issue. Then you go to selling as many Big Macs as you can. So it's this hand in hand. I got some people that say, well, Jeff, I just coached with you, and my daily labor rate is, I'm charging more than that. And then that's when I get to it. I go, yeah, but you had no idea why you were charging that. Now you have an idea. We give you the steps. You plug it in. So I think you're absolutely correct, is people need to price correctly so that they sell 7 or 8 jobs out of 10. If you're selling more than that, again, it could be the unicorn stage, so you're not priced wrong, but you might be charging too little. And I find that 60% charge too little, 20% charge just right, and 20% are charging more after we do the numbers, but now they know why they're charging more, where the numbers are.
Yeah, and
so
if
you
you're
hit the nail on the
more
head.
and you're getting
Absolutely.
Just know
look, a panel upgrade. Those are automatically 1-day jobs, but you're getting 2 days worth of labor. Why is that? Value. It's a value job. That's the heart of your electrical. That's just how it is. Recessed lights are the oil changes in our field, right? So we hardly get any money. And yet I would argue that installing 12 recessed lights is probably harder than doing a 200 amp surface mount panel upgrade. So, because now you're in an attic, you're wiring, and some people might disagree, but you got to tarp the place. You're inside the house. You got to be clean. Outside, you're taking it out, putting it in. No one's bothering you. No one, So I argue with that and say your recessed lights that you make no money are a harder job than the value-driven jobs. And so, that's generators, could be value-driven job depending on your concentration of competition and stuff like that. So it's super important to tune in your pricing for sure.
Absolutely, and not to belabor the point on value, but one more thing I was wanting to ask you about specifically, because you run such an effective business and a successful business. There's a lot of contractors who try to find a niche, and they try and find something that they don't want to be a generalist. They want to be a specialist, and they. I say there's a lot. I have talked to a few now that are getting out of general HVAC. If it's just replacing systems, they only want to do indoor air quality, or they only want to specify in boilers, or with electricians, they only want to do panel change outs. We have a client who only does water heaters. That's all he does. He does not do any other plumbing except for water heaters.
You're putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, and
right.
While you can, and this is what I wanted to ask you about, what do you see in the electrical field, in the electrical industry, pros and cons of finding, of narrowing down your services and maybe only doing 2 or 3 things? I'm trying to get to my question that's in my brain of just, do you think it's better to cast a wide net and take whatever comes in, like a largemouth bass, or do you think narrowing down your services and maybe having a narrow field of vision is more effective?
So it definitely is tailored to the individual business and the experience that the employees have, for sure. So that's number one. So the grass is never greener on the other side. It's only green where you water it. I don't know if I'm probably heard that somewhere, but I'm going to trademark a lot of my sayings. So we all, we're all great at the trade, sucking in business. That's one. The grass is never greener. That's 2. Don't pay for leads. Be the lead. There's another one. Okay, but so it really depends on your company, and it depends on your staff and your guys. So I will preach it all day and all night. I am all about diversifying. Okay. I've been around for 17 years in the brick and mortar. We've never had a red year ever. In fact, the worst years for most other in the economy are our best years, and I'll tell you about that. Again, it's a McDonald's analogy. I think that when I hire, for example, and I'm going to hire an apprentice, most people, and I'm generalizing, I haven't surveyed this, I'd say if I was an electrical contractor, and I've had, by the way, apprentices, not a single one of my apprentices had any electrical skills when I hired them. Not one bit. You know what they did? My very first apprentice was actually a auto mechanic. My second apprentice was a painter, drywaller. Another one of my apprentices I remember was going in Bible college, going to be a pastor. And you're thinking, Jeff, why the heck would you hire that? Well, I'll tell you why. So what does this mean? None of them were electrical, because I can teach an apprentice electrical. All they need to do is hold pipe. And I just did the 21 irrefutable laws to be the best electrical apprentice on the video and on on my podcast. And I give you 21. And one of those is predict the future of your journeyman. And that's all I needed. I just needed someone in a couple of weeks to know that if I'm laying 100 feet of pipe, make sure that next piece of pipe's ready for me. Okay. But here's what I can't teach them. The pastor, I can't teach someone to go and talk to clients in a manner, in a way that's pleasing. So again, you want to say, Jeff, we're getting back to sales. This is, if I sent, I don't want to name him by name, but he would be like, hey, Mr. Daniel, how are you? Listen, we're almost wrapped up. We want to thank you. That's what a pastor talks to people, loves them. My painter, well, guess what? Now I could take on jobs that I would say, hey, Daniel, don't even worry about it. We're going to have to bash the wall to get that sub panel out. But in my price, I've already included painting and patching. Now the other guy doesn't get that money. I get that money. I charge a premium and still pay my apprenticeship, right? And so you see the auto mechanic, you know how mechanically inclined? He actually started changing sub panels for big apartment complex remodels we had. Mm-hmm. After 1 year of being with me, I was able, because he had a mechanical background. He's like a master mechanic. And now, by the way, he went back to the mechanical trade. He owns his own shop and does very, very well. I would leave him and say, that's it. He was he knew it. Once he did it once, it was just like doing, changing a fan belt or everything. So I tell everybody, diversify your employment field. Now, your journeyman's and your masters is a little tougher. But I got guys that I coach, and they go right out the gate. They go, I'm a commercial electrician. I've been doing it for 30 years. And I say, okay, and I want to do, how am I going to get apartment building jobs? Great. How many other helpers do you have? Oh, I just went on my own. Why are you jumping into, skyscrapers when you're really set up to change light bulbs? They don't have the diversified skills to do residential. They're scared of it. Nothing wrong with it, but I always tell everybody. So I'm a big one to cast the net. And by the way, why did I pick 360 electric? We do everything full circle. Gate motors, solar, EV, generators. You name me a day that we don't have work. Of course we do. I wish I brought my job sheet. I have 21 jobs on the sheet this week in LA. I guarantee you that not 2 of them are alike. Low voltage. Okay. Yeah, and it's pretty amazing. And then we have a diverse group of people. What I don't know, I hire someone that does. What they don't know, I know, or somebody else knows. And that's how we built that team, which also makes us probably about 80 to 90% efficient, by the way. Because again, everyone's filling in the pieces like Legos, where if you don't diversify, you're not as efficient. Now you got to wait for some other trade to come in and do something, and then you got to come back. You got 3 different types of minds thinking on the same project. You usually end up getting that synergy to work together. So that's what I say. I mean, diversification, and it's going to get you through the recession. Like I said about the McDonald's, I can give you that analogy too.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So, okay. So I find McDonald's clients. And what does that mean? You want to find clients. So it's booming right now, right? We're still in the edge of the booming stage. So you knew when you were on the field, Daniel, and you got 5 clients that you got to go see today, and you're hungry, where are you going to go eat? You're pulling in through that drive-through, grabbing it, and while you're driving, and you got the cell phone, and we're too busy to have lunch. So we're McDonald'sing it every day.
Yeah.
Well, a year from now, unfortunately, I see that the economy is going to go down. I don't know how others see it. We're not being political or economists here, but I see the downshift. Well, when I look and I go, well, that sushi money ain't there anymore. I'm driving through the dollar value menu, right? And I'm getting dollar bill double cheeseburgers, right? So that means that McDonald's is busy during the recession and is busy during the booming. You need to get the McDonald's type business. Who's that? The developer. Right? The people that develop McDonald's, the people that build McDonald's, the people, it's an analogy. You're not going to go and get McDonald's. Yeah. I've never done a McDonald's, but we've done Popeyes, Starbucks, and a whole bunch of other ones. Starbucks will never stop growing. Economy down or up, they have to open stores. It's just how the economy works. If you don't know capitalism, you got to look it up. They got to move forward. The more stores they open, the more they diversify their expense, their corporate and everything. Therefore, they have more money and they got to keep their shares up. So go after the recession-proof clients. And that's another big one. You can't do that if you don't diversify. And then I know I'm rambling on. But now the McDonald's guy, now in California, you got to put solar on top of that McDonald's, let's just say. And now we do solar. So not only am I going to do your McDonald's build out, your TI, your ground up, I'm going to do the low voltage install, and I'm going to do your solar. How about that? And now I'm busy for a year instead of just being busy for 3 months. And that's kind of how we do it.
Man, that's
easier said than done. Trust me.
Oh, I know.
Easier said than done.
That's what I'm sitting here thinking is I can see the guy rolling down 635 with his headphones in and just going, yeah, sure.
Right. Well, coaching. I do coaching. I'll teach you. I'm an open book. I keep no secrets. I've been blessed, and I feel like I got to bless as many people as I can to make sure they got food on the table and they survive all these recessions. I have a whole marketing course that I do. Again, it's based on just crazy stuff that I learned in my other businesses and all these secrets, and then I package it directly to, it could be any trade, to be honest with you, to electrical contractors, and I love it. Hundreds of people have done it, and they all are just blown away. Like, why didn't I think of that? And I go, don't you think I said the same thing 4 years into my business? It took me 4 years. I've never spent one single penny on advertising for the past 13, 14 years in my business. Not a single penny.
That was me with my handyman business. And if you don't spend money on advertising, you just survive on word of mouth?
Oh, 100%. Of course, after 16 years you do, but it's not word of mouth. I mine my own clients. So if you're my client, I'm almost guaranteed that you're going to refer me to 3 clients within that next, right away, but I'll get 3 clients from you, whether it's next week, next month, or next year. And I have the great analogy on that one. I'm going to give it to you. It's not exactly what I do, but here's the theory behind it. Mm-hmm. So if I say, Daniel, thank you so much. You've been a great customer. And you say, Jeff, I loved you. I'm going to recommend your company to everybody. You've had that happen as a handyman.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, a handyman might be different because everybody does need a handyman. You're really diversified. You do everything. But let's just say for electrical, I think the average call for an electrician is every 5 years, believe it or not. So it's not very often. Plumbers are there a lot more. HVAC might be there a lot more because they can do scrubbing of the things. Electrical, besides smoke detectors, why are we going back into houses? It's usually every 5 years is an average call. So you got to be good at your marketing. Sales, marketing. So what I do is I mine that. So when I walk out of your house, I go, man, Daniel loved me. I gave him value. Man, he had the check ready before I finished. That's a good client, right? But then a year goes by and I go, man, I remember that guy, Daniel. He never referred anybody. Crazy, right? Well, that's because when I left your house, Daniel, unfortunately, you had an emergency or something came up. The kids fell at school and you got to run to school. And life takes over the second I leave from in front of your face. Don't we forget what we even had for lunch today sometimes? So I am forgotten as a contractor. If you're listening right now, 99% of your clients forgot about you already, okay? I want to make it that 99% of your clients will never forget about you. And this is how that works. What if I did this? Hey, Daniel, I really appreciate you. You were one of the best clients I had. I want to have all your clients and friends, right? You've heard all the sales marketing things, how your referral is gold, right? But how am I going to make sure I'm in the game? So you know what I do? It's an analogy, but I'm going to teach you how to do it without actually doing it this way. I will go, Daniel, can I give you a free gift to your mom, your family member and your coworker that you can pass along because I know that they're going to appreciate me as a contractor. Can I give you a gift to give to them? And you'd say, of course. I'll take out $300 bills and I'll write their name on each $100 bill on this side and on this side, and I'll rip $300 bills. And I'll say, Daniel, here's 3 ripped $100 bills. Can you go ahead and give it to those people and let them know when they call me, I'll put the other half together and I'll apply it to anything that they get done, even a service call. Your first thing you're going to go is like, this guy is crazy, right? But guess what happens? I leave. And then life takes over, remember?
It sticks.
But hold on, life takes over, right? Mm-hmm. You came home, everyone's okay, and then you look down at the counter and what do you see? 3 ripped up $100 bills. You're back in the game, baby. You're back in the game. I want to teach people how to do that. And I do it. So that's why I never advertise the penny, because I am the lead. I don't pay for leads, plain and simple. That's just one out of the 3 major things I teach. I teach you how to take a flyer that's been around for 100 years. I call it spray and pray marketing, right? Flyers, Valpaks, all that. Mm-hmm. Spray and pray that I get a call. Heck no. I'm going to teach you active, passive, and progressive marketing all in-house. You don't pay a dime for anybody else. Anyway, that's a big plug. The360electrician.com. That's where you can get it. And I'll give your listeners a coupon code on that. But coming back to that all still ties into field software, which we haven't even touched on, but I want to.
Well, let's get straight into it, man. That's what brought us together after all. And that just so I've said it 100 times, but just so you know too, that I used FieldPulse in my own business before I came to work here.
Cool.
My son was born, and I came here to the office to sit down with the team, and this was a few years ago. My son's 18 months old now, but I sat down with the team, and I was using FieldPulse every single day in my business, and I could see what they had. It was everything that I needed. Me being on my own, and even when I hired my electrician partner, and there was a few things working through there that, the clicks weren't there. The button wasn't in the right place, and I always had, and I was always chatting in and telling these guys, hey, I see what you got, but can you take this option out of here because this really doesn't apply, type thing, and just trying to help make it better. So that's a discussion that I had. Soon after my son was born, I came in here and was in here for, 3 hours. I met with Gabe, our CEO, and head of product, and customer success people, and one of the engineers, and we sat down for a long time. And then on my way out, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And
that's great.
Here I am.
Love it. I love it. And you guys have one of the best. Listen, I've done every software out there, I promise you. For the channel, I always tell everybody, if I don't use it myself, you're not going to hear it on my channel. If I don't believe in it myself, I'm not a sellout. You're going to see a lot of stuff. I mean, I got a lot of people sending me a lot of stuff. If there's not a real need for it, I'm not even going to promote it. And then, so what happened is, and on the flip side, I was with another company. I don't want to say the names. And we were in talks about sponsoring because that's who I was using at the time. The problem was my back office, Jamie and some of the people at that time, gosh, I've been through so many people. But anyway, they said, Jeff, we love it. I get it. You're passionate about the software, but it's so complicated. And I go, I know. It wasn't graphically pleasing. It was like 17 layers, just like you said about that button and that stuff.
Yeah.
So we started looking. And so we hooked up with another company. And that company, it was great for just service. But if you got deeper like we do, we're diversified, and you start doing job projects that are multi-day, multi-year, it just wasn't cutting it. So now I had my other team saying, Jeff, that's great, but it just doesn't do what we need. So that's when the channel started, embarking, and I started the niche of the YouTube channel for electrical contractors. And that's when I started looking, and I started doing everyone's trials, right? I went all the way. And then, you know what? I stumbled onto FieldPulse. I had heard about it a while back, but I didn't do the trial. I didn't do anything. I kind of did like the top at the time. And then all of a sudden I see a couple of these, modules and options. And I went, this looks like it's going to work. And so I got in there, and then right away, everybody's got the customer onboarding and stuff like that, but you guys have it on a totally different level. You know what? They called, and they even, while we were talking, said, oh, I'm going to let the engineers know about that. That's a good note. And I'm like, whoa, this is pretty cool. Yeah. And truth be told, so I said, gosh, it looks like we're going to be using FieldPulse in my brick and mortar. And so that's when I made the call and said, hey, how about sponsoring the channel? Because I have such an audience, and it's exactly. And so I cheat. I use my sales tactics, and I said, and I forgot, it was probably Michael. And I said, hey, Michael, I'd like you guys to sponsor the channel. And he said, by the way, who's your number one client? Like, who's your clients? And he said, like everybody else, electricians, plumbers, and HVAC. And I went, oh man, really? I said, because I've been an electrician since 1991, but I would never buy FieldPulse. What? So electrician, sorry. And he went, well, what do you mean? I go, well, electrical contractor, I can help you. And he goes, and of course, right, I'm doing well, no, of course. Yeah, electrical oh, great. I said, do me a favor, Michael. Can you go to YouTube right now in incognito and type in electrical contractor in the search? And he goes, it's you. It's you. It's you. It's you. Hey, how about we do that sponsorship? And I said, thank you. Let's go. So I got about 2 months, 3 months of training even before I accepted the ambassadorship and the sponsorship, because I wanted to make sure it was what I was going to use. And so, again, I know I'm kind of pitching FieldPulse, but the truth is, I tell everybody, you can start with other software, and it might be cheaper monthly. By the way, if they sign up with my link, you guys have given them 15% off monthly and 30% off if they do yearly. That's pretty incredible. That's as competitive as you can get. The difference was the scalability. So if you start with quote unquote cheaper software, the scalability is going to roadblock you at the most important time. And that is usually 2 to 3 years into your business. Now, you're just on bread and butter, bread and water. But you're not always going to be on bread and water. So you got to invest into the right software now so that it scales with you when you get to be 3 guys at least or more. Look, you're going to stay a 1-man, 2-man show. I mean, Michael agrees with me. Maybe FieldPulse isn't for you. 1-man, 2-man show, that's great. You just get the cheapest thing. Use Google Calendar. You don't really need field software if you're only going to stay that small. But if you're going to grow at all, which is the goal of 300 of my coaching clients, or else why would they pay for coaching? I always tell them it's the scalability that FieldPulse allows you to get. You can run projects with it. The marketing, there's so much in FieldPulse. Obviously, they can go to your website and check. We do another 6-hour podcast if we just talked about everything FieldPulse does.
Yeah,
GPS tracking was huge for me. I'm running a company 1,200 miles away. I want to hit one button and see where my cars are, right? Mm-hmm. Some of the other guys don't offer GPS tracking within the system. I don't want to go to a different portal. I want to be within. All these different things about FieldPulse really is what drew it. And then again, I did have the channel, so I was able to get the sponsorship. Trust me, at 15% and 30%, it's like being sponsored, plain and simple.
Yeah. I was just going to say that was me too. I was with somebody else when I first started my handyman business, and me all by myself, I ran up to the limits of that other smaller software platform, and right. I found myself using the software as far as it would go, as much as I could get out of it. And then I had to hire an assistant to help me do other things outside of using the software, because I was doing, similar to you being diversified, I was doing sizable projects that would take me 2 and 3 days, but then I was also doing the hourly stuff. And that software was great for running 2 jobs a day, 3 jobs a day. But if I was on the same job for 2 or 3 days and I had to, when I would submit an estimate to somebody, I would always require a down payment, and they didn't have the capability to do that. So then it was a bookkeeping function for me to do in QuickBooks to mark that invoice as partially paid and all this stuff. And so then it became just writing down stuff in a notebook to try and keep track of it. And then I was back to using paper when I still had an app on my phone. What am I doing? This is stupid.
And one of your number one problems, I'm sure, collecting. You're so busy that it's billing the customer to get paid became really difficult. And now you're like, man, I got to pay. The guy from last week still owes you money. FieldPulse takes care of all of that. You hit a link, they pay on the credit card. Before you even walk out the door, it's already paid for, and you know it. It's just incredible. It's such a must. It's such a must. Here's another thing, by the way, Daniel, not to break in, but Square D just had a major recall on QO panels.
Yes, they did. Yes.
A lot of people, in fact, Brad, big shout out to you. I switched him over to FieldPulse from Jobber, was saying how he's using it now because it's all populated and automatically pops in. And here's the great part. If you start using the tags, and Field software allows you to tag it. So I didn't even think about it, but this thing brought it on. Now I tag every single job with like 15 different tags.
Yes.
If it's a gate motor, I'll do gate motor. Was it on vinyl or metal? Was it a LiftMaster or a RAM? Was it, what was the panel? Was it a home line? Was it Q? Because then if anything ever pops up, you go, oh man, home line, QO, boom, boom, boom. The tags pop up. Now, guess what? You got all those clients to call back and say, hey, Daniel, we got a recall. We're going to come and take care of it for free for you. Of course, you're getting the money from Square D, but it's just that revenue source. Mm-hmm. Smoke detectors, fall back, spring forward, you should change the batteries. You're not doing anything. You're sitting around. You type in smoke detector on your tag. Everybody you've changed smoke detectors for, you send them an email saying, hey, we got a special this month. We're going to replace all. You're getting back into the door. And once you get back in the door, your job is to kind of look around, give a safety check, do all that stuff, and try to get more work.
Yeah, I'm glad you said tags.
Rip up $100 bills, right?
Yeah. I am the biggest advocate in the office for tags. Everyone likes them, but no one here has owned the business like I have. And so when I put tags on my jobs, when I figured that out, I would use a tag for a reference source, where and how they got my number, because I didn't do any advertising either. It was all word of mouth.
Right.
And so that's what I kind of started using it for. But then I started thinking outside the box a little bit. What if I started putting in how long I spent there, and then I started asking people about their birthdays or about their kids, like, stuff that their kids are up to, and that was me. Cool. That was me getting to know people, right? It's just
right.
Tell me about your family. Are any dogs going to greet me at the door when I get there? I need to be ready for that, type thing, and that kind of thing. And so I started using tags for all these things, and all these very, very different things, and then being able to search being able to categorize my jobs by tags. Then it gave me insights into my business of what I was actually doing. For instance, I stopped after a while. I just told a story about doing tile repair. After a little while, I stopped doing tile repair because I was able to isolate my tile jobs and look at them in a way that, it's not really working out for me. I'm not
sure.
They don't always work out, and tile is not anything I really like doing anyways. So I'm just not.
You kind of blew my mind there, Daniel. You kind of blew my mind there, because when you put birthdays, can you imagine calling a client and saying, "Hey, Daniel, it's Jeff from 360 Electric, and it's called to say happy birthday, man. Can I send you out, a couple of ripped $100 bills to give to your friends and yourself?" You just blew me away, because you're absolutely right. I think I'm going to make a note. We're making a video on tags, because it's free. It's FieldPulse. It's free. You could put 1 million tags separate. The more, what do they say? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is money. I mean, what do you think Google's based on and everything? Knowledge, right? That's pretty amazing. And I love how you said that. Even the dogs. Can you imagine? Hey, it's Daniel. I'd like you to come back. Absolutely. Hey, by the way, how the puppy's doing?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
You remember? Can you imagine you have sold that job before you even walk in the door? You just blew my mind, Daniel, and that doesn't happen very often. Thank you.
I mean, you use them for
new policy in place today. Tag the heck out of everything.
And it comes from just having conversations with your clients, right? If you want to get to know them, you want to get to know their house, you want to get to know their business if they own one, and just remembering these little things that they told you. Oh, I'm going to Florida in September. Okay, I used to say, hey. I would call them at the beginning of September. Hey, are you still going on your trip? If you need me to come by and get you, and turn your water off, because they're going to be gone for 3 weeks. Do you have someone coming by to check out your house?
That would be huge in Montana when you have to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So they were going to be out of town for 3 weeks. Hey, I have lots of clients in your neighborhood. Do you want me to stop by your house and just double check, make sure your doors are all right?
That's awesome.
They always said no. They never said yes. But the fact that you offered that, oh my goodness, man!
And then you're in their mind again. And by the way, you could do all this in the notes section as well. You can tag, but what you also said is notes. If you walked in and the grandma lives there, or is that write the grandma's name in the notes? The dog's name's in the notes.
Yes,
tags and notes. I think amazing. But this is what I'm saying. We all just get into the rhythm of it's the same thing every day. And I tell people sometimes you got to just knock yourself in the head and just rethink it. Within a matter of years, 1-2 years, you're going to outshine and give that much more value. That much more value means you win the job instead of your competition, plain and simple. And you don't even give them a chance to price you out. My clients don't even price me out anymore. I've got a whole video on that, by the way, and how we did commercial and how commercial works. Commercial is, they give you a little cracker and they want to see how you eat it. And if you make a mess, did you crumb it? No, you did a pretty good job. Okay, let's give him a sandwich and see how he does. And then that sandwich turns out to be a full course, all you can eat buffet. By the time the buffet comes, they already know your pricing. They already know you don't cheat. They already know your work. And guess what? They're giving it to you all the time. And there's that system of going. But you're right. With out of the box thinking, I love it. The tags and the notes, love it. Again, just another way I can start using the software to level up my business.
Oh, and I spoke about it earlier when I hired my assistant to start helping me, because I was using another software and I had to keep doing things on paper. And then we found FieldPulse, and then we didn't have to do paper and the old pen and paper anymore. Then I started reallocating her time into doing those things. And that exactly is keeping up with the notes, keeping up with the job notes. And then I also had her call and say, I had we set up reminders in FieldPulse for her to call a week after, a month after, 3 months after, and 6 months after, because I put a 1-year warranty on everything that I did. And so I had her call and follow up and say, hey, Daniel was there last Friday. Is it still working? Whatever he did on that job, is it still good? Yes. All right, great. And it was no sales pitch. It was just a friendly reminder. And then she would call it a month. Hey, he was there last month. Is that door seal still hanging on? It good? All right. It's good. Okay, great. Just calling and checking. And again, you're staying at top of mind, and then it turned into, when you called a month or you called 3 months later, oh, I'm so glad you called. I've been so busy. I just got back from town, and I noticed, this and this, and just.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Absolutely. I love it. Electrical is it's any trade. It's just, there's so much to it. The easier you make it for yourself, the better off. I have another copyright there, I guess. It's, for me, I always tell everybody I teach, they say, I have some clients here in Montana that I coach and I consult to their business. It's not only electrical. And how it worked was they met me because I'm building my house here. The studio is above my garage. And they say, well, what do you do? And I say, well, I have a mid-size electrical contracting company in Los Angeles and California, and I run it from here. And then they're in shock, like utter shock. Because they're in Montana, which is not even close to being as hectic as LA. And they go, I don't even have lunch. I don't even have time to go have lunch with my wife. I'm so running around with the chicken. How are you running a mid-sized company? So I tell everybody, it's the efficiency. It's those things like FieldPulse. It's those things like getting your marketing down. It's those things that my motto is, time is worth more than money. The money will come if you do things right? If you put the money and invest it in the right areas, marketing, paperwork, employees, field software, all that stuff. If you put it exactly where it needs to be, if you hire efficiently, again, easier said than done. It took me a long time to get everything perfect, but that's what I teach. You realize that, now you have the time to live the lifestyle you want, but still be that tradesman. And so it shocks everybody, even to the fact that I didn't even want to open here in Montana, but I'm so efficient, we've got that wheel so oiled and running that, I can open another one here in Montana like I have nothing else to do. But really, again, FieldPulse and all of those things I mentioned were all the keys to the puzzle that put it together. Life's not easy. Look, we still have cash flow problems. We still have employee problems. We still have permitting problems. We have all the headaches, but we use technology. We use software. We use everything available in 2023 to do it like we should be doing it in the next century, not like we did it in the past century. If you're still using a notebook, pen, and paper, that might work for you, but that's, again, no offense. I call it, you're going to be an electrical handyman the rest of your life. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I know handymen that make more money than me. My brother is a handyman in Texas, and he's expanded and now growing. But joking aside, if you just do electrical, then you're not a handyman. But I say you're just an electrical handyman in the sense that you're going to pick up stuff that's not in your trade because you're going to need to survive. But if you're going to be an electrician or an HVAC or a plumber, you got to apply all these things that we talked about. It's super important. And they all plug into field software. At least they do with FieldPulse. I have the paperwork course that I again, on the website. It's covering your butt on all the legal. Well, guess what FieldPulse allows you to do? If you buy this course from me, it's all editable so that you protect it. It's simple stuff. Some of it is simple as, hey, Daniel, if I come into your house and there's something in the way of the chandelier I'm going to replace, I'm not responsible to move that. You have to clear that before we do it. And if you don't, and we have no choice but to complete the job on time, we are held zero responsibility if anything breaks, scratches, or thing. That's reasonable. Well, that's the same in California as in Montana as in Texas. All that you can cut and paste right into FieldPulse, which I love. And when they sign on FieldPulse digitally, they're actually signing it. It's incredible. Lewis set this up for me. They're actually signing at the bottom of my paperwork. So it works hand in hand. That's how, like I said, I brought Brad over and a couple other people because they did my paperwork course and they were like, how do we get it into field software? Hey, Lewis, how do we get it? Lewis, by the way, is my what do we call it? Personal liaison to FieldPulse technical support.
Customer success.
Goes, no problem,
yes.
Jeff. Customer success. No problem. I got it. This is how you do it. Boom, boom, boom. And then that's, so it's really, really amazing. But, I still use paper. Obviously, we have to. But this paper is only the initial. Then this really goes back into FieldPulse, and we try to do nothing but digital into FieldPulse. But once in a while, we have no choice. We have to use paper. And remember, California, we got to keep legal and compliant with their laws on paperwork and stuff like that. And so other field software companies, you can't stay legit. You know, you got some areas you can't do it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a huge thing that people need to know. You know, I'm in the state that's overregulated. I mean, they regulate me while I'm sleeping. If you have sleep apnea, you can only do like 5 missed breaths every 5 minutes, or they're going to tax you. You're in Texas. You can sleep apnea all night long. Nobody cares, right?
There's almost no rules.
Right. That's Montana. Montana almost wants to pay you to be in business.
Yeah.
You know, California wants to make sure you're out of business. That's the difference. So,
what are you going to do? We can have a whole nother podcast about that, my friend.
Yeah. Well, really quick, I want to give, you guys have been gracious and you've given me a bunch of FieldPulse shirts. Oops, as I drop one. And I joke that I want to be the Mr. Beast of electrical, so I want to give everything away. So I guess if you're listening to this podcast and you decide to do the trial, now I'm going to be honest with you, I don't have the link, but maybe if you put it on YouTube, you guys can put my link at the bottom, whatever you guys want to do. Yes. But if you guys are listening right now and you do the trial with FieldPulse, and then you email me with the same email address as you did the trial with FieldPulse, and you send it to me, I'm going to verify it with Daniel over there. And then I, the 360 electrician, for coming over to me and subscribing to my channel, I'm going to send you out a free FieldPulse shirt. But I can only do it to the first 3 people. So come on, get on there. Try it. If you don't have field software, this is your opportunity. And don't worry about the 15%, because Michael said if they came from me, they will honor the 15%. So even if you don't find the link, don't worry about it. Sign up somewhere, put Jeff, the 360 electrician, recommended me, and then get right over to me on my YouTube channel or email me directly. And by subscribing, you'll know how to get directly to me. And then I'm going to send you out a free shirt on my side, just as a thank you for FieldPulse for sending me the shirts, first of all, and for you guys to really taking the advice that we're giving you, because I think it's going to be life-changing once you get into it. It changed your life, Daniel. It changed my life. So
absolutely.
I think it's probably number one.
I will not be outdone by Jeff. So I actually get all the hoodies and all the hats too. So I'll give away hoodies and hats all day long.
Okay.
So
all right.
Same thing. So Jeff did 3. I'm going to do 5. So the first 5, tell him, just comment below or email me at podcast@fieldpulse.com and get signed up for a demo. That's all I'm asking. Just get signed up for a demo. You get a hoodie and a hat. I'll give away 5 of them. No problem.
They do have to subscribe to the YouTube channel, though, the 360 Electrician. That's a must.
Jeff
FieldPulse.
Yes.
There you go. We got to get something out of you guys, right?
Yeah.
We don't ask for much. Trust me. What I always tell everybody, I'm going to give you 10 times value. I'm just asking for a subscribe button, which subscribing is not even important anymore as much, but still, we appreciate it. It just it puts more fuel in our tank.
Absolutely. Well, Jeff, that's been quite the fast-moving hour, my friend. I think that's the most I've talked in a little bit.
I tend to do that to people. Well, Daniel, I appreciate you. I can't wait to get back on, and I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of other things as we move forward. And,
man, I definitely want to have you on later in the year. So this is the spring of 23. I want to get you on later in the year. And I want to run down some business numbers and some business metrics. I want to have almost a strictly financial podcast with you, breaking down your business. I don't want to get too personal with your numbers, but I want to talk about metrics. I want to talk about ratios. I want to talk about numbers that mean something in your business, not just top line revenue. Yeah, absolutely. I would love to, Daniel. I really appreciate the invite. Again, I'll definitely be having you guys on the 360 Electrician podcast as we still continue forward with that. And again, big shout out to everybody listening and even watching on the channel. Absolutely. Again, hit us up, podcast@fieldpulse.com. Go to fieldpulse.com, and in the lower right-hand corner, there's a little chat bubble. If you want to talk to me, if you want to ask me questions, I work here. I'm here every day. Not on the weekends anymore. I'm done with that. So during the day, normal business hours, you can chat with me anytime. Just tell me you want to talk to me. Ask me a question. I'm here. I'm available. Jeff, I can only imagine you're more reachable than I am with all the channels and everything that you got out there. Sure. Yeah. So they can